Good morning. Thank you all for coming here. We welcome back to Onondaga County Governor Andrew Cuomo. We're always happy to have you here, and it's particularly nice to have you here at the Great New York State Fair, which is a big part of what we do in Central New York. I see Troy Waffner is here. Thank you for putting on a wonderful fair for us again this year. The rides, the food. I said to the governor, it's a little early, but I think he's planning on the sausage sandwich. So he has a good, long tradition of coming to the New York State Fair. And this year, we're particularly excited because we've been talking about the fact that there hasn't really been a big influx of investment in these New York State Fairgrounds. Onondaga County really appreciates the ability to host everybody from across the state, but as time has gone by, we haven't really been able to put our best foot forward for people who come here to the fair and go back to their own communities. They're left with an impression that I think we could do better, and the governor came here, saw that for himself, and has agreed to make the first real investment in these fairgrounds in decades. And we're excited that he's here. We're very appreciative of the fact that he continues to focus on Central New York. He listens to us, he responds, and very quickly he has taken what we requested and turned it into real ideas for what we can do here. I want to acknowledge some of my colleagues that are here. You will hear from Senator DeFrancisco and Assemblyman Magnarelli, who are both here. Welcome. Assemblyman Al Sturpey, I believe, is on his way. Don't tell him we got started already. Town of Geddes Supervisor and friend Manny Falcone is here. Village of Salve Mayor Ron Benedetti. Welcome, Mayor. It's nice to have you. And the Mayor of Salve and the Supervisor in Geddes have been working very hard with us on the last investment that the governor announced, and great things are happening in Salve and connecting the village here to the Great New York State Fair. Syracuse Common Council President and friend Van Robinson is here. Our New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets Commissioner Richard Ball, and the Deputy Secretary for Food and Agriculture Patrick Hooker. And with that, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing and welcoming back to Central New York my friend Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. It is my pleasure to be here, and it's an exciting day. It's always a special day coming to the fair, but today is extra special because we have some exciting announcements about the fair and the future of the fair that have been a long time in coming. It's good to be with so many friends. First, your great county executive, who's doing really a fantastic job, not just for the county, but she's also been a great partner to the state's efforts. Let's give her a round of applause, County Executive Joni Mahoney. My Albany colleagues from the legislature who have been not just great advocates for their district, for Central New York, but they are legislators who get things done. You know, there's one measure of does a person try hard, and that's important. There's a second measure of does the person actually accomplish anything. And these are two people who actually work very hard to get it done and are successful at getting it done. And what we're going to announce today is a product of their good work. Senator John DeFrancisco and Assemblyman Bill Magnarelli. To Commissioner Ball and Pat Hooker and our friends in local government, it's a pleasure to be with all of you today. And we want to talk about the fair, and we want to talk about the future of the fair. For a little context, our focus has been over and over the economy and creating jobs, especially in upstate New York, which has been suffering, as we all know, for decades. Upstate New York had a great economic base during manufacturing. Manufacturing moved out, and we never really found our footing in the new economy. And that's what we've been working through. But we've been making significant progress. We have cut taxes in this state because there's no doubt that the high taxes chased people and businesses from the state of New York. There is no doubt that the high property taxes, highest property taxes in the United States of America, in upstate New York. Highest property taxes in the United States of America. And there's no doubt that that had its effect. There's also no doubt that upstate New York did not get the attention it deserves from the state government. And it didn't get the investment, it didn't get the activity, it didn't get the partnership from the state. We've changed that, and you see the result in upstate New York now creating jobs. Today, New York State has more private sector jobs than any point in history, period. And that's what it's really all about. One of the big drivers for our economic recovery has been tourism. And this is especially true in upstate New York. We invested in tourism. And the legislature and I spoke about it, and we went back and forth, and we invested heavily in tourism. $130 million, which is a lot of money. We invested over the past 4.5 years in the I Love New York tourism efforts. The $130 million investment has increased revenue $8.5 billion to a new record of $62 billion, 2 times the national rate of growth in the tourism industry. That's what we accomplished in the state of New York. You tell me we can invest $130 million and get back $8.5 billion, I will do that all day long. And that is an economic driver in upstate New York. And that, again, relates to jobs, which is what we're all about, 853 tourism-related jobs. Growth is primarily in upstate New York and sites in upstate New York, because what I Love New York is trying to do is saying to the international market, come look at upstate New York. When people say New York internationally, they think New York City. We say New York City's great, but by the way, there's upstate New York, which is also great. And we're introducing them to upstate New York. I Love New York is also saying to the New York City market, you want to go on a trip. You don't need to go east. You don't need to go west. You need to go north. You need to go to upstate New York, which has everything you could possibly want to do. And that is resonating. I also believe as soon as people see upstate New York and what we have to offer, they believe. It's just a question of exposure and getting them here the first time. So upstate New York overall is seeing a higher volume of traffic than ever before. Adirondacks activity is up about 10%. Niagara is up about 11%. Central New York is up about 10% in overall activity. You also see that at the fair. And the fair is on its way to setting a new record. At this point, we are ahead of schedule to set a new record at the State Fair. We're 16,000 people higher than any time before in history, for a total of 377,000 visitors. But as our motto in New York, we can even do better, right? State motto is Excelsior, ever upward. You can always do better, and we believe that. And we believe that there's unexploited economic development potential in the fair. The fairgrounds have not been reimagined in more than a century, believe it or not. And we've committed to invest in the future of the fair with the largest investment in the fair's recreation since its creation. And I want to thank the legislature for getting this done. You know, what I see in a way that you don't see is the legislators in upstate New York have a double burden. Not only do they have to advocate and push, but they have to advocate and push to get attention for Central New York, upstate New York, when the bulk of the legislature is from downstate New York. So each legislator has to do the work of 10 people because they're really in the minority in the legislature. And that's one of the reasons why upstate hasn't gotten the attention they deserve. But we have gotten $50 million to do the reconstruction. And again, I want to thank the legislature for appropriating that money. And it wouldn't have happened without Senator John DeFrancisco, Assemblyman Bill Magnarelli, Assemblyman Al Sturpey, who's joined us. They fought like Trojans, and they brought this funding back to Central New York. So let's give them a round of applause. What do we want to do with the $50 million? We want to make the Fairgrounds into a year-round, premier, multi-use facility that can attract more events and more visitors. But year-round is the key. Coming to Syracuse all year long and seeing the Fairgrounds basically fallow for so much time and basically empty is just a wasted resource. And the question is, how do you make this facility work for you all year round? And our vision is this. First, we're going to build a new New York State Expo Center, which will be a state-of-the-art, 110,000 square foot exposition and convention center with the capacity to hold 4,500 people and a capability for flexible year-round use. We can do almost anything in that facility. It can be a prime national contender for exhibitions with over 400 booths, 4,500 people, 130 horse equestrian events, holding 2,000 spectators, farm shows, auto shows, you name it, we can handle it in this brand new state-of-the-art New York Expo Center. We're very excited about that. Second, we want to build a world-class equestrian facility. We're a state-of-the-art center for horse and livestock shows. Modernized stalls that are state-of-the-art, 3 rings for horse shows, 2 open, 1 covered. 2 open and 1 covered. Third, we want to have a new midway, remove the old grandstand and track, and have an open area for a new 400-space RV park with all the amenities, with all the connections, so it's a pleasure for RV users to use the park. We're also expanding the Midway from about 12 acres to about 16 acres. We'll have a new layout, a new design, and we will have the biggest and the best Midway in the country, literally. On Chevy Court, we're going to redesign it with new seating and new landscaping, a new stage that is going to be built to the highest industry standards. It will have a 30,000 person capacity, seated and standing, to host free concerts. The higher level paid concerts will go to the Onondaga Lakeview Amphitheater, which we'll say more about in a moment. We'll also have a New York experience, we call it, which is a high-quality park area. It's for practical demonstrations or seminars. It's inside space for people to do presentations, theater-style productions, etc. It, too, will be flexible. I Love New York can hold events there, Path Through History, Taste of New York, and one of the activities in this center will be to advertise tourism opportunities around the rest of upstate New York, again, telling the story of upstate New York. We're going to have a new entryway. Finally, we've cleaned it up a little bit over the past couple of years, but it's not what it needs to be. Major facelift for the Fairgrounds that gives you a sense of the grandeur of the Fairgrounds and the modern facility that you're walking into. Frankly, I don't think you get that feeling now. We've changed some signage, but it's not the presentation that we want, and it will be. It will also have electronic ticketing entryways to meet all the modern demands. and an attractive streetscape along State Fair Boulevard that I believe will also have an additional positive impact on the surrounding communities, which we've been talking about over the past months with our local officials. Super Dirt Week, which is also a very big attraction, will stay in the general vicinity. We'll have a separate announcement of the location of it. But I Love New York has given Super Dirt Week a grant to keep Super Dirt Week in central New York within a very close proximity. And we've signed a multi-year contract with Super Dirt Week, so they will not be going anywhere for many, many years, and they're committed to staying right here in central New York, thanks to a state grant from I Love New York. The current New York State Fairgrounds looks like this, if you have very, very good eyesight. The new New York State Fairgrounds will be reconfigured. New York Experience Center next to the RV park, new Midway, the Expo Center, the Equine Center, Chevy Court, and everything changed colors, which is not emblematic of anything, thank you, with a new entryway and a new streetscape. There it is again. Also, there's just one more slide I wanted you to see. Please, gods of technology. The Onondaga Amphitheater will bring a state-of-the-art paid concert venue and a lakefront attraction to the fair. This amphitheater, I believe, is going to expand the breadth and the effective footprint of the entire fair. And it brings a dimension to the fair that we never had before. And stay with me one more second. You can see from this slide how the amphitheater will really increase the overall breadth and complement the fair. I think there's going to be a positive synergy now between the amphitheater and the old footprint of the fair. So you can come to the fairgrounds, but the amphitheater is adjacent to the existing parking, and the amphitheater actually gets you real access to the lakefront. And water is a natural attraction. It is just a magnet. People like to be near the water. So you can spend the day at the fair, you can see the rides, you can see the shows. At night, you can take a walk right through the parking lot to the amphitheater and see a concert on the lake in the evening. So there are very few attractions that this complex overall won't offer. We're going to be working, once the amphitheater is open and operational, to find the best way to connect pedestrian walkways from the fair complex to the amphitheater, but I believe there's no doubt that you're going to get an exponential synergistic impact between the two. The slide on the cost is not coming up, so too bad. Just take my word for it. It was worth the money. I know, but I can't get it to stop there. I see it. I see it also. I am not having an eyesight problem. I am having a technology problem. Thank you, County Executive. How does the cost work? The expanded Midway cost about $2.5 million. The demolition of the grandstand, $3 million. The RV park, close to $4 million. Chevy Court, $4 million. New entranceway, streetscape, and the New York Experience, $7 million. Equestrian facility, $9 million. And the Expo Center, $20 million. And again, the Expo Center is the big facility that's going to be the multi-use venue. That's how the costs break down. The timeline, we are going to get through this fair, and once the fair is open, we'll begin demolition. Once the fair is closed, we'll begin demolition. Construction should start theoretically, hopefully, March 2016, if everything goes well. If everything does not go well, the Department of Agriculture will pay for it dearly. But I believe everything will go well. July 2016, we're hoping Chevy Court, entranceway, et cetera. And then a bulk of the construction to be done by opening of the fair next year. And let me say this in closing, since I give up on the technology. You see signs of growth everywhere in upstate New York. You can go from one end of upstate to the other end. And it's almost hard to believe how much has been done, because upstate was down for so long that at one point people just gave up hope. People said, well, it's not going to get better. It hasn't gotten better in 20, 30, 40 years. What makes you think it's going to get better now? I know families that said to their kids, move away because your future's not here. The jobs are not here. That was a different day in upstate New York. The most troubled place in entire upstate New York was Western New York, was Buffalo. You go to Buffalo today, it is a different place. The expressions on their face are different than it was 4 or 5 years ago. Jobs are coming back to Buffalo. Real estate values are going up to Buffalo. You go to Rochester, we had the vice president there. They're going to become the photonics center of the United States in Rochester. We were in Utica, that has had a very, very tough time over the past several decades. And they're looking at new growth in nanotechnology. IBM, which was home to Utica 40 years ago, left. IBM is now coming back to Utica with over 500 jobs. People are looking at upstate New York differently. And central New York is the same story. You drive around Syracuse, you see projects coming out of the ground, you go to the Inner Harbor, you see all sorts of growth. And the fair is in the midst of it. And the fair should have been, could have been, and today will be the kind of economic generator and the kind of attraction that it should be. What a marvelous idea it was when they started it. We'll make this the center of the state. And people from all across the state will come here to see what the state is all about. Central New York, it is centrally located. We will maximize the central location. And that's what the fair was. And it did it brilliantly for many, many years. And then time passed us by, and we didn't keep up with time. And that's the story of upstate New York overall. And what we're saying today is we're going to make up for lost time. And we're going to invest the way we should have invested all along. We're going to put our money where our mouth is, and we're going to make the fair a complex that generates activity and jobs all year long. And this is the first step towards the new fair, the new central New York, which is part of the new upstate. And it is thanks to the hard work of all the people in this room. The state government, we can help, but it's up to you to make it happen. We can help with resources, we can help with partnership, but it's up to you. And I have seen energy and optimism and growth in central New York that I've never seen before. So congratulations to what you're doing. Congratulations to your legislative leaders who made this all possible. I'm excited about what the fair is going to be, and I'm excited about what it's going to do for central New York. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Governor Cuomo. And you can see that this is really exciting news for us here with the State Fair investment. And I know from my experience working with Governor Cuomo for the last several years that when the governor says he's going to do something, he does it, and he does it quickly, and he does it well. And I think you're going to very quickly see a transformation here at the State Fairgrounds. The governor has been here for groundbreakings in the last few years, and as he was making his way here today, I said, you haven't come back to celebrate the success, and we have a lot of ribbon cuttings now because of the announcements he's come out to make on groundbreakings. I'm really looking forward to helping with this. The governor's team has been unbelievably accessible and hardworking and helpful, and they understand what we want, and they've really accommodated us here in Central New York. And as the governor said, this could not have been possible without the state legislature, locally led by Senator DeFrancisco and Assemblyman Bill Magnarelli, Assemblyman Al Sturpey, who's here. When I have something that I need from the state and I call on our state representatives, we are fortunate here to have a great team of people that works together. It doesn't matter what the politics are. Once people in Central New York have gotten in office and come together to work, you would be encouraged to know how much the focus is on what's best for Central New York. And it's nowhere illustrated more than the meetings I've had with Senator DeFrancisco and Assemblyman Magnarelli, and you'll hear from both of them. And first, please welcome Senator John DeFrancisco.
They got a little step for me because I'm vertically challenged. I threatened to pull this sign down, but they thought of a different thing. First of all, I'd like to go back to a couple of those slides. Nah, just kidding. Just kidding. This is really a great event. It really is a great event. Having lived here my entire life, I have gone to the State Fair more years than I care to remember. And I remember as a young child when we went to the Center of Progress building, it wasn't all vendors selling things like cleaning your glasses for 25 cents. It was the progress in the state of New York, the technology that had been developed here, and technology that hired so many people and made New York State the Empire State. And now we're getting back to that. With these upgrades in the fair, we'll be able to showcase what's the best in New York State and why people should have New York State on their minds to invest in and also to expand in. For the last several years, it's been kind of tough with the old, antiquated facilities we have here, but I just want to echo what was said earlier. Troy Waffner's doing an incredible job, and with the new resources, it's going to be even substantially better. I've been here every day, except Sunday. I went to church Sunday instead. I've been here every day, and I talk to the employees of the fair. I talk to the vendors. They are very positive about the leadership here, and it's going to even get better. So I thank you, Governor, for this great announcement. Thank you for the upgrading of the fair, because it's going to mean more than just a fair. It's going to mean the ability to create more jobs and the ability to attract more people to Central New York, which is exactly what we need. With that said, we do work in a bipartisan fashion. We got a Democrat governor and a Republican county exec. I'm Republican. My partner in crime in the Assembly is a Democrat, Bill Magnarelli, and I'm going to call him up for a few words at this time.
I don't know about that partner in crime comment, but we do work together, and John's always a lot of fun. I'm always up here when the governor comes in saying the same thing. Thank you for being in my district. I love seeing you come in. I really do. It's days like today that make us understand how lucky we are to have Governor Cuomo, who understands not only the assets that we have in Central New York, but also knows how to capitalize on those assets. For many, many years, for over a century, the fair has drawn hundreds of thousands of people to Central New York. But let's be frank about this. It needs a facelift. It's wearing down. We need to do something about it. And Governor Cuomo has saw fit to make sure that happens. For example, take the front gate. It's not ADA accessible. It can't take electronic tickets. We've got to get into the 20th century, let alone the 21st century. So it's time that we do something. And thanks to the governor, we're going to be able to do it with millions of dollars worth of remediation, repairs, et cetera, which will attract new shows, events, conventions, and that's what we're looking for. I know the county executive, she's looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Everybody in Central New York is looking forward to it because it means more tourism for the region, more attention for our region, more jobs for our region. And that's what this is really all about. And we're going to do it, the governor has found a way to do it, without throwing away the traditional things that are going to be here, like Dirt Week, as he has already told us about. So that's a good thing as well. So again, Governor Cuomo, thank you very much for being a friend and an advocate to Central New York. Come back again soon, please. Thank you.
And with that, thank you all for coming, and go enjoy the great New York State Fair.